Hi, Stephen.
Demands recently, which enabled the deal to go through. For NPR
Hi.
President Obama is reaching out to the run for the presidential election.
What are you doing?
Bureau reports Mr. Obama hosted the American in Washington.
Are you playing?
Support among
Hey,
voters has slipped in the last
don't do that.
People are disappointed that this administration is deporting people at a higher rate than the Bush administration, and they're frustrated that the White House failed to get comprehensive immigration reform with more modest agreement.
Hi.
President Obama told the president that opportunities would not always welcome him.
Don't you chase me.
Defend our country. Today, for the first time in history, there is a Latina in my cabinet and a Latina on the bench of the highest court.
He noted that the unemployment rate is among the highest in the country, and he gave another push for the job creation package that the Senate defeated. Ari Shapiro, CNN News. Wall Street investors on mood optimism Europe may be ready to tackle its soared today. The Dow was up 102 points. Nasdaq gained 21 points. The S&P 500 11 points. You're listening to NPR.
News comes from retail. Tomorrow in areas including retail, transportation, and education. More at intel.com/inside.
From Minnesota Public Radio News, I'm Stephen John. Listen, home prices fell again last month. The median sales price is down about 7% from September of last year to $155,000. Meanwhile, the number of signed purchase agreements climbed about 37% in September on over a year basis, but that was in comparison
Is it your ball?
to the lackluster sales
Is it your
last
ball?
year, following
Go get it.
the exclusion of first-time homebuyer tax credit. Still, the Minneapolis Area Association of Realtors
Go get
says
the blue
market
ball.
is moving
Or your
toward
soccer
balance.
ball.
The trade group says declining inventory levels in particular are showing big improvement. The retail industry is expecting just a so-so Christmas shopping season for mainstream retailers like Target and Best Buy. Several industry and consulting groups forecast a seasonal sales increase of about 3%, down from last year's gain of roughly 5%. Like New York-based retail consultant Howard Horowitz, the stores that cater to a well-off clientele are likely to do much better.
Louis Vuitton, electricity, if you want to know Harry Winston, I think luxury.
Stephen, can you say bye-bye?
Very, very
Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
National Retail Federation says high-end consumers feel
Can you say
comfortable
bye-bye,
shopping in
stinky
luxury stores
stinkers?
again because they're more secure about their jobs and their stock investments have bounced back from the depths of the recession. Firefighters in northeastern
Say bye-bye.
Cleaning the wildfire burning in the Boundary Waters canoe area. Officials said today the fire that's burned in nearly 145 square miles is 85% contained. Cooler temperatures and precipitation are expected to help with firefighting efforts. Fire restrictions remain in effect throughout the state due to the recent run of dry and unseasonably warm weather. Showers and isolated thunderstorms for most areas until midnight, then diminishing lows in the 40s west to the 50s east. This is Minnesota Public Radio News.
Local broadcast of All Things Considered is supported by the University of Minnesota, where students and faculty are driven to discover, because the future is limited only by imagination. umn.edu.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Robert Siegel.
And I'm Guy Raz. The Obama administration is moving quickly to drum up international pressure on Iran. That's one day after announcing it had uncovered an
There he
elaborate terror
goes.
plot. But
Bye-bye.
Iran watchers are raising
Bye-bye.
doubts about the stage.
Bye-bye.
Michelle Kelman reports they wonder if the U.S. can get this sort of diplomatic mileage it wants out of this case.
Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was quick to swing into action, calling world leaders to inform them about the alleged plot. She told the Center for American Progress today that the conspiracy to assassinate the Saudi ambassador in Washington was directed by, as she put it, elements of the Iranian government.
This plot, very fortunately disrupted by the excellent work of our law enforcement and intelligence professionals, was a flagrant violation of international and U.S. law, and and a dangerous escalation of the Iranian government's long-standing use of political violence and sponsorship of terrorism.
She says Iran must be held accountable for its actions. The U.S. has already added more Iranian officers to its sanctions package, and Clinton has planned to rally other countries to do the same.
We will work closely with our international partners to increase Iran's isolation and the pressure on its government. And we call upon other nations to join us in condemning this threat to international peace and security.
One Iran watcher, Rasul Nafisi, has some doubts about how successful the U.S. will be in this push for more sanctions.
There are enough reasons to slap more sanctions on Iran. Its heinous human rights record, its activities across the world. But this one really doesn't hold much water.
The way the U.S. presents the case looks odd to Nafisi, who has studied the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. Though they're known to use proxies to carry out terrorist attacks, Nafisi says hiring a Mexican drug trafficker would be a major change in strategy.
Committing such an act, which is so clumsy, relying on Mexican cartels, doesn't sound very much like what Iranians would do.
Ali Al-Faneh of the American Enterprise Institute says it's unlikely Iranian leaders signed off on this.
Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei is a very, very cautious statesman and politician. He is not the gambler type. He would not be the individual who would order assassination of the Saudi ambassador to Washington, D.C.
But Al-Faneh says he wouldn't be surprised if certain elements of the Revolutionary Guard Corps had a different agenda.
The Revolutionary Guard has a long history of creating crisis in Iran's relations with foreign countries, especially the United States and Saudi Arabia, in order to create a permanent crisis, a situation of extraordinary circumstances under which the armed forces, and especially the Revolutionary Guard, gained the upper hand in Tehran.
And if this is a case of an internal power struggle, he doesn't think American diplomacy to step up pressure on Iran will make much of a difference. Michelle Kellerman, NPR News, Washington.
Michelle Kellerman covers the State Department for NPR News, and here on All Things Considered and Morning Edition do her reports, bring you international events, multinational events, diplomatic events in a more reasonable light, in a light that illuminates what's going on. If so, help pay for those reports by becoming a contributor now to MinnesotaPublicRadio.org. I'm Tom Crenn. Good afternoon. We continue with All Things Considered in a moment.
Stephen?
Wade Goodwin has
No.
on the man at the center of the alleged murder for hire plot against
No.
ambassador to the U.S. It's been covered on this story.
No. No. Can't go in there.
Your ongoing monthly contributions paired with those of your fellow listeners powers this station. You make NPR happen. Become a member by contributing the monthly amount right here at MinnesotaPublicRadio.org.
What?
So become a sustainer now at MinnesotaPublicRadio.org. You to join us for this year's Hey Tom, good to be here. Good to have you here. Now, Minnesota Public Radio is a non-profit public radio service. These are the basics. That's why we're asking for the largest portion of our operating budget. We heard half of every hour spent on programming comes through.
Hey, Stephen, can you say bye-bye?
So, if you
Stephen,
haven't done so yet,
can you say bye-bye? Bye-bye. Can you say it?
and you know,
I don't know. Can you say bye-bye? Hey, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Mama. Bye-bye, Mama.
But now you're able to do that, and that's great. And you can support this community resource that thousands rely on every day. In fact, hundreds of thousands.
Hello. Say dada. Say doggy.